All right, let's call this meeting to order. Beth, can we get a roll call?
And I show 10 o'clock. Anthony?
Here.
Joanna? I see Joanna. Monica?
Here.
Susan is absent. Ryan?
Here.
And Sue?
Here.
And for CCS, we have Rebecca, Deborah, Molly Sum, and Beth.
All right. Any additions to the agenda? See none. Any let's see. Sorry, I should have printed out the agenda. I didn't, so I'm toggling. Public comment. Would anyone like to speak in public comment?
I'll just maybe now say that I got an email from Frank on Tuesday, letting me know that he was no longer with the Huntley Area Public Library. So we have nominating committee on the agenda under committees and groups. So we can talk about how to fill that position, but I figured I would let the committee know at this time about that change.
Frank is director of Evergreen Park Library now.
Ah,
Oh.
thanks for the context, because I was wondering.
Yes, thank you.
Well, that's, good for Frank, sad for us, right? So, okay. Any other public comments? All right, then that brings us to the consent agenda. Does anyone want to make a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda. Dombrowski.
Second, Sue Reinders.
Great. Any discussion? Seeing none. All right. I've been doing this for so long. I don't remember. Roll call, right, on this?
I'll do roll. Anthony?
Yes.
Joanna?
Yes.
Monica?
Yes.
Susan is absent. Ryan?
Yes.
And Sue?
Yes.
Okay. Time to move to the business part of the agenda. 6A, new and potential members. Let's hear about Rolling Meadows and Wakanda updates.
Well, Beth, can you turn on screen sharing, please?
Oh, I thought I did. I'm sorry.
That's fine. The Rolling Meadows and Wakanda projects are moving along. I am going to share my screen momentarily.
Does that work?
There we go. Perfect. So the project kickoff officially took place in February, which is exciting. And we are in the profiling process. We don't really have anything eventful to report, so I'm happy to take questions, but things are progressing as anticipated.
Any questions? Doesn't sound like anyone has any questions. No news is good news, I think. Or minimal news is good news, I should say, because there's news. We're making progress, but okay, great. All right, so that brings us to other potential members.
Since our last meeting, Deborah and I met with Cook Memorial staff, and I met with the their long range planning committee. Their board is continuing discussions. I actually yesterday got a couple more questions from a staff member that I will go ahead and respond to today. And then I'll follow up with David also. Rails sent me their kind of annual budget request email to ask if we have any planned projects for next year. My understanding is that Cook won't make a decision until April at the earliest, but it sounds like April is another discussion month, not a voting month. But I might be able to get like a temperature on whether or not Rails should include them in their budget. So, yeah, it was a productive discussion. I would say both of them. The team had a lot of questions. The committee also had a fair number of questions, which was delightful. And at least one member of the board regularly uses the Fremont Public Library. So she was very familiar with kind of like CCS search and discovery setup, which was interesting.
What was the nature of the majority of the questions? Was it, about how this is going to affect their library, or I guess I'm looking if it's like more on the negative or positive side of the inquiry.
Oh, that's a great question. I would say staff had questions that were coming from a place of concern. Questions about autonomy, a lot of bib record stuff.
Lead time for changes.
Yeah, lead time for changes, like ability to take upgrades when they want to, sort of questions. And then I would say that the board questions were more general. One board member, I think, was like, wait, so you only have 10 staff members and you have 34 libraries? Like, how does anything get done? So we talked about like ticket volume and response time, and that she seemed very impressed with those statistics. So thank you to our team for doing the work and having the statistics at the ready. There's a lot of concern about like net lender, net borrower, and just like, yeah, we don't know what's going to happen until you join about whether you'd be a net lender or a net borrower. So we had some interesting stats about that as well. I got one report from this. There was one staff member at the board meeting as well, and she did follow up with me to say, oh, I think it went really well, which was interesting because I felt like it was kind of neutral, the board meeting.
Thank you.
All
Yeah.
right, other questions about new potential members, Cook in particular? Thanks for the update. That sounds promising. That's great. Okay, 6B, current projects, BiblioCore implementation.
So we are behind on BiblioCore. We were behind before the kind of performance issues of, God, it feels like it was just last week, but it was 2.5 weeks ago now. I don't know.
Sometimes.
Yeah, it's been a long month is what I'll say. So they had, as noted in the packet, they had an unrelated engineering issue that led to delayed progress in getting our sites set up. So our sites were already delayed a week, and then with the additional performance issues, they were delayed almost another full week. So we do have some adjustments to the schedule that I've indicated here with strike through, just so you can kind of see how that's affected. We did have, several kind of cushions built in, and we think that these adjustments will still be keep our general targets on track. So library staff now do have access to BiblioCore sites and are working on validation, as are CCS staff. So working on like testing and submitting tickets on issues. Deborah, do you have any sense of what kind of issues have come in? I know it's Miko's project.
I feel like from our end, it's a lot of, is this how it's supposed to work questions? Obviously, it's a new interface. It works differently from PowerPack. So I think there have been a fair amount of knowledge-based questions come in. But there have been, some configuration issues that have been reported. It seems like BiblioCore is still in the process of implementing some of our settings, such as scoping. So some of the issues are tied to some of the configuration pieces that aren't complete yet. But we've gotten quite a bit of tickets from library staff. So thanks to everyone whose teams have been working their way through those validation tests and letting us know when you run into something strange.
I don't know if this is the right place to ask this, but I'll ask it here. And if you want to answer it later, that's fine. I got really worried about the fact that the performance issues that we've been having over the past couple of weeks were caused by BiblioCommons/BiblioCore. And are we getting ourselves into any trouble with all of us transitioning to BiblioCore? I guess I just want some reassurance.
Yeah, that's a very fair question. And I also shared your worries, but I think we're in a really good place that we are not going to see further issues from that. I'm fine talking about it now. So what happened was kind of like a perfect storm of mess, I guess. So I think it is detailed as you'd like within my capabilities, but essentially there was a lot of traffic for various reasons, including a surge in overdrive records that we're still kind of researching. We think it's related to some changes in how overdrive shared advantage titles are working. Like maybe they weren't being synced before and now are. We're still trying to like figure that out with overdrive. But there was a surge of overdrive records, and those are handled through a separate process. So, and the system was working on those records in a reasonable time frame. Like there were just a lot of records, so it's taking a lot of time. And that in itself was not affecting performance. So that's on kind of like the Polaris server that work is happening. The PowerPack and like the API server is like a separate server. And on that server, because there were all these additional overdrive titles, BiblioCore was doing extra calls to sync those new titles. While BiblioCore was doing those extra calls, Novelist was also doing a full harvest of our database, which is a process that apparently takes 12 to 15 days. And those two increased traffic components, as well as Innovative, because Innovative's still looking at this, some potential bot activity. Like Innovative is reporting that we have, and this is a paraphrase of them, some bots latched onto our server. So there's like multiple sources of increased traffic started causing like timeouts of the BiblioCommons calls. And so then the BiblioCommons calls that timed out like re-queued in the thing. So it created this sort of like cycle of just like stacking and stacking and stacking transactions, which caused something called the ERMS, the Electronic Resources Management System, to kind of crash out. And when that crashed out, that's when we saw issues with PowerPack crashing. So a lot of things have happened. One is that we're moving to a different sync process with Novelist, because something that takes 12 to 15 days to complete is a weird waste of resources. So we can do it a different way, and we're setting that up now. Two is we got a second API server set up that right now is just BiblioCommons traffic. So even though we still have this additional overdrive traffic happening, all of the BiblioCommons traffic is hitting a separate API server, and none of this affected the Polaris server. So giving BiblioCommons its own API space gives us the opportunity to monitor and see, like, are there periods of crazy traffic from BiblioCommons, or was this really truly like a one-off thing? The good news is that, we've already had some conversations with BiblioCommons about like how stuff works. Whether we have 1, 2, or 34 BiblioCommons sites, the system is just doing one sync of our database. So we're not going to have like 34 times the traffic moving forward. We will have increased traffic in terms of like authentication and like holds placing and stuff like that. But the real like bulk of traffic is the sync. So yes, it was a very stressful week of like what happened and what is going to happen, and this is bad. But I do think that we're in a place that is not going to be, I don't think there's going to be continued issues due to traffic related to BiblioCommons. There's a lot of things I just said.
It is a lot, but that is comforting to know that it wasn't specifically caused by BiblioCommons. It was caused by, a variety of different, traffic increases, one of which happened to be BiblioCommons. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I do still want to talk to BiblioCommons about like, okay, like, can you adjust your sync so like if stuff is timing out, they don't just queue up for infinity? Like I do think that's maybe like a chink in the process. Like, but overall, I think it will be okay. But I agree that it was not a great start to the implementation, and I think all of our blood pressures were increased for some days.
Thanks for the question, Sue. And Rebecca, great explanation. I appreciate the details and the insight. Other questions about BiblioCore implementation? All right, let's move on to Orange Boy Savannah implementation.
Okay, we also noted being slightly behind schedule on this one. The reason for the schedule changes on Orange Boy is we implemented the CCS wide Market Watch report, but when we got the sample of the individual library Market Watch report, we wanted changes to it. And so we're taking some more time to work with Orange Boy on developing something that would be brand new to CCS to make those individual Market Watch reports more useful. So I think that's a good use of time, and it doesn't impact the overall project schedule, but we did hope to have that done already. And the computer usage was the other piece that is ongoing, and we have working for some libraries, but it just requires a lot more effort on the part of libraries to configure that. And so we're continuing to work with libraries individually and gradually install those MyBC files. So those are the two items that are ongoing, but it hasn't delayed any of the work that we have planned starting in March. So we already requested all of our credentials for phase 2 data sources and have at least 3 samples from our libraries for each source. So Orange Boy has what they need to start implementing all of those data sources while we continue to collect the remaining credentials from libraries. So we got a head start on that. We finished our in-person training series, got lots of really great feedback and spent a long time talking to Orange Boy about it. So I will continue to keep everybody updated as we get responses from their development team on what they're able to adjust now versus what might need some more custom development on the Orange Boy side of things. Otherwise, we have an online course that we're developing right now. We had our first office hours session this week, but nobody took advantage of that. We have little onboarding pieces going out in the newsletter, and we've had a number of tickets come in already for new access to Savannah. So continuing to see a lot of enthusiasm from everybody, which is really exciting, and excited to see how the next couple of months go. Any questions about Savannah?
Thanks, Molly. Appreciate the update. Appreciate the thoroughness too. Better to get it right than to rush through it. So that's great.
Yeah.
LX Starter.
Our beta libraries are continuing their configuration and rollout. They had training last week and are building their notices in Alex Starter. So I'm excited to see how this progresses, but I think we're on track.
Yep.
Okay. Any questions?
Find more, Illinois.
Here's that one.
Yep.
So we are, I'm meeting with Rails tomorrow to start planning for the implementations of our libraries that haven't gone live yet on Find More Illinois. I want to talk to Rails about timeline and scheduling so that we can offer, again, those libraries who haven't gone live yet some flexibility in terms of their launch date. I know we've got a lot of projects coming up, so want to make sure that we're offering kind of a launch time that works for the libraries that, again, that haven't gone live yet, which is Vernon area, Mount Prospect, and Waukegan. So once we have that meeting with Rails, sort of figure out their overall timeline, lead time for setting up those libraries, we'll be reaching out to directors at those libraries to begin planning for your implementation and training. We'll also be meeting, there's a wrong date in the packet. We are going to meet with Layla Heath and Barb Miller from Rails to talk about benchmarking. And that meeting will happen next month in April. Questions?
No, I guess no questions. I just have a comment. I like that we're meeting with Rails about benchmarking. I think that's good. That's a good step to build into this.
Great.
So thank you for taking initiative on that. Okay. We're just cruising right along. Okay, so we're other projects, member engagement analysis.
Yes, I can talk about this one as well. So we are in the midst of a member engagement analysis project. And the end goal of this project is to develop a CCS member engagement plan that sets specific targets and goals in terms of engagement for our team, both long-term and then for the next fiscal year. So for this project, what we've done so far is complete a data inventory of all of the member engagement data that we have. We've gathered all of that for the last about 2 years. And this includes things like training attendance, meeting attendance, newsletter engagement, ticket opens, and so on. We gather that data, and Molly's built a really awesome member engagement dashboard, kind of draft one. So the goal of this project is to identify what specific services and resources that CCS provides do members utilize and value the most? Does engagement vary by library or by staff group? What are the barriers to accessing and engaging with CCS services at our member libraries? Are libraries satisfied with their current services? And then are there emerging needs that CCS can address in terms of training, support, and our other engagement services? So in the next phase of this project, we're going to be surveying library staff to get feedback directly from your teams to help us answer those larger questions. So the first step prior to developing that survey and sending it out to our libraries is to conduct like a pre-survey focus group. And we sent out a call for volunteers for those focus groups in last week's CCS news. We'll use those focus groups to kind of like pre-vet our survey questions to really make sure that the survey we send out to members is able to answer the questions that we have. Our current plan is to send that survey out to library staff in April. And we're looking for some feedback from this group on the best way to get that survey out to as many staff at your libraries as possible. Our current idea is that we would send that survey out directly to all of the staff emails associated with CCS member libraries that are listed in L2. We can run a report and export a list of staff along with those emails, and we can directly send the survey through SurveyMonkey to those emails. There's about twice as many CCS member library staff in L2 as are subscribed to CCS News. In L2, there's about 2,000 library staff associated with our member libraries. Our newsletter reaches about 1,000. So that would give us sort of the widest audience or best reach for the survey to make sure we're getting enough feedback. But are wondering from this group if you feel that's an appropriate way to contact your teams.
I would love it if you could send the survey directly to me, because then I can make sure every single person on my team gets it, and increase the chance of response there. I do have some staff who aren't in L2, but I think that's another, in addition to the plan that you're proposing, I think that could help increase the reach, additionally to that.
I was going to say the same
Monica-
thing. I feel like if you sent it to the directors with a very specific ask to forward it to their all staff, you'd get even better penetration than L2.
Yeah.
So I have a question, Monica and Sue. Do you think we should take both approaches, or you think that's overkill? Because I think it's going to be, I think most of the directors and membership will take initiative and distribute it, but I don't know. There may be in some cases where it would be better. I don't know. I'm just want to make sure does a one size fits all approach make the most sense?
I'm in favor of using every available approach to increase penetration. So I would say send it to the directors and still go forward with the L2 plan.
I would agree with that. I think some staff might take an email from their director more seriously than one from, an outside organization. But if you do it both ways, then, what's the worst thing that happens? They get 2 emails. That's not that bad.
Awesome.
Looks
Thank you.
like Anthony-
That's really helpful.
Yeah, it looks like Anthony and Joanna are in agreement. I think I'm in agreement. So, okay.
Awesome. Well, that will be our plan then, that we'll send it directly to LibAdmin, as well as to all of the staff that have emails associated with the CCS member library in L2. So we'll kind of hit everyone on both fronts to just increase, like you said, penetration there. So we'll be looking to send that survey out the second week of April. So again, look for that email to LibAdmin, and then you can maybe give your teams a heads up too that they'll be seeing like direct emails from SurveyMonkey to their inboxes. And I will give a plug too. Again, we sent out that call for volunteers for the pre-survey focus groups. We're looking for 8 to 16 staff, 16 to 24 staff to participate in those focus groups. And we're really looking for a mix of experience levels. So we do a pretty good job of reaching, our really involved staff. And we have a few volunteers that, we're very familiar with, but we also would really love some staff who are either new to CCS, new to your library, or maybe not in a management role, or maybe don't work as closely with CCS to participate in those focus groups as well. That way we can make sure that our survey questions are not really just geared towards those who are already really familiar with the work that we do. So if you have any members of your team that you think would be great for those focus groups, that link went out in last week's CCS News. So again, we're looking for 18 to 24 volunteers representing kind of a variety of roles and libraries.
Can you
So
send
if you
that
can-
again, just to make sure that I have fresh, because I have a couple of newer people in mind that I can target that I might even see today.
That would be great. I'm sorry, I missed the first
Can you
part
send
of that. I think
again?
you've asked for volunteers to submit the form by Friday. We could probably, stretch that to next week. Ideally, we could notify everyone by next Tuesday or Wednesday that they've been selected. We have some preset dates and time the last week of March. I think the dates ran March 24th through March 30th. So in the form, we asked staff to select their availability for those dates and times. So that'd be great, Monica. If you have anyone you want to send our way, we appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for refreshing my mind on that.
Monica, did you ask for us to resend the
Oh,
form?
okay, sorry, I missed that. Yeah, we can.
I
bump
did.
that.
Or anyone on the committee that has it. Anthony has it pulled up on his screen. He can send it to me, but I just want to make sure it's fresh in my inbox when I get to work later.
Maybe we'll just send it out to LibAdmin. Sure. We'll send it out to LibAdmin after meeting, just so you've got it top of your list there.
Yay, thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions about this? Are there other outstanding projects for us to talk about on this agenda item?
I'll just say that I have an updated document from Innovative that I need to review and hopefully sign, but I think our renewal is just about complete. Oh, one note that I'll share on website accessibility is that CCS had been striving to have our website be all of our public facing pages on our website accessible by the April deadline that many of our libraries are required to adhere to. Due to some access issues with our developer, that is likely not going to happen. Everything within our control will be fully accessible by that date. We talked about this a little bit with budget and finance. There are some elements that we don't have access to and that our developer is frankly overcharging us to update for us. And so we're actually looking at potentially in our projects for next year, changing websites, updating kind of everything. I don't think that we are addressed in the legislation, but that said, I mean, we should have an accessible website and we should have it as soon as possible. So I just wanted to give that sort of broader update on that project.
Yeah, thanks for the update. I know a lot of us are stressed about this this deadline coming up. Any questions about that? Okay, and
This
then,
is, I'm sorry. It took me a second to get to my mute button. This isn't a question, it's just a comment. I have reached out to my lawyers to ask them sort of a general question about future contracts with third-party vendors for the library, right? Like, do they have any recommended language or a writer or something like that to include in the future as we go forward? And when I hear back from them, I will let CCS know as well, as that might be something to have on hand as we go forward with purchasing new products.
That'd be great. Thank you.
thanks, Sue. I know we all appreciate that, you sharing that. That's fantastic. All right, so Rebecca, was that the Innovative update that the contract is almost negotiated?
Yeah, and the system issues, if there were any other questions about those.
Any other questions? Anything about Innovative we want to ask about system issues or the contract? Okay. All right. Well, let's get into reports. President's report. I don't really have anything to report. I will plug that I am one of the speakers at the ILA noon networking event today. So the ebook legislation that ILA is part of the legislative agenda that Representative Tracy Katz-Mule is sponsoring has moved forward to the state Consumer Protection Committee, which is a good assignment for us. So there's a group of us. I'm part of this ebook working group. I was chair of ILA PPC in 2022 when we tried this. But but there's a big group of us working on advocacy. So I guess I would say, even if you can't make it, register for that if you want more information. Or short of that, if nothing else, look at the ILA email blast, because there will be we'll ask people to take action to help us. This is going to be a team effort for us to get this ebook legislation passed. So I just wanted to mention that was going on. It's not really specific to CCS necessarily, but it's an issue that impacts all CCS libraries. Okay, so then do we have, I keep getting toggled.
Secretary report.
Secretary report is probably next. Okay, thank you.
And the secretary has no report. So there we go.
All right, thanks. Treasurer's report, Anthony.
No report at this time. We've got our next committee meeting to discuss the next draft of the budget scheduled. I don't have the date in front of me. It's in April.
Towards the end of April.
We've got a lot of committee meetings in April. It's going to be so fun.
All right, thanks, Anthony. Committees and groups, bylaws and policy review, any items to send to committee?
So I sent an email that was a list, just like a bulleted list of the policies that I'm planning to have on the bylaws agenda or bylaws and policy agenda, and just wanted to make space if anyone else had policies they had thoughts about, concerns. Cool. If you don't mind, Ryan, I'll just roll right into nominating committee.
Go for it.
So it is that time of year to think about nominating committee and who will serve next year. Our nominating committee is made of those folks who are rotating off of executive committee. So that would be Anthony, Susan, and Joanna. And we will be usually we have 3 positions to fill, but with Frank's departure, we'll have 4. So we'll actually be looking for both a president and a president-elect, a treasurer, and a member at large. And Ryan and I didn't have a chance to talk about this, but I was thinking based on the governing board schedule, we would have our election in May, and then the president, we would have a president elect for this year who would finish the remaining 1 month of the term and then become the president, and then a president elect for next year who would be like the actual president elect. So essentially we'd have someone effective the day of the meeting, and then the rest of the positions would be effective July 1. But the timing, I guess, is nice that our nominating committee has 1 set of asks to complete. Beth maintains a very helpful spreadsheet that lists everyone who's been on executive committee for the past several years, including their library, since, directors unfortunately do leave libraries sometimes. So I can share that with nominating committee. In the past, this committee has largely done their work kind of via email and doing outreach to their colleagues directly. That said, I'm happy to support any sort of meeting or anything that the committee wants to do. We're happy to do agendas and minutes if that's needed. And I'm happy to talk offline with the committee as well as needed. Susan's not here today, but Anthony or Joanna, do you have any questions or things you want to talk about now?
So it's 4 positions, a president-elect that would be elected in May that would become the president in July, and then a president-elect for 27, 28. Okay, thank you.
26, 27. But yeah,
Oh man, I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions about that? I think obviously the nominating committee can rely on any of us for assistance. So if someone wants to was thinking about I mean, Joanne, I know you're going to talk to them, but if you need me to talk to somebody, I'm happy to talk to them
Okay.
about this role in particular. So,
Thank you.
okay. I guess we're down to executive director's report.
I just have one question for the committee about PLA and executive committee materials around PLA. I will be going to my first PLA this year. I'm so excited. So hit me up if you're there. Yeah. So typically I would send the packet, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. Let's be honest, usually Friday before the meeting. But I will be out of town that day. Would the committee rather have like not an abbreviated packet, but a packet with an abbreviated month's worth of activity before the committee meeting, or the kind of full packet on Monday after PLA, so just 2 days before? But we can definitely have like the consent agenda materials out on the regular schedule with like financials, agenda, etc. I'm happy to do either. I don't know what's better for the committee if everyone's traveling anyway.
What's better for you, Rebecca?
Either is fine. As long as I know, we will adjust our deadlines internally for reports. If one were better, I would say, this is what I'm planning to do. Do you have any concerns?
Okay.
But
I figured, but I thought I'd ask just in case you were, maybe a slight lean one way or the other. So
I'm fine getting it the Monday before.
Me too.
Same.
Me too.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll plan that then, so staff have their kind of regular amount of time for their reports. And honestly, staff reports have been on point lately. So my assembly and like review has been pretty easy. So thank you to the team for being awesome. Other than that, my report is in the packet. If there's any questions on anything or questions on things we didn't cover. And Deborah will be at ICOLC next week, which is the International Coalition of Library Consortia. So that will be exciting to hear her experience there as well.
Very exciting.
That's super cool. That sounds interesting.
Have fun at PLA, Rebecca.
Pardon?
I said, have fun at PLA.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Yeah,
I've also never been to Minneapolis. It's like a real double whammy
wow.
of fun new things to do.
Great.
Anthony likes Minneapolis.
I do too. It's a great city and it's a great conference. I think PLA is one of the best.
I don't even go to ALA anymore. I just go to PLA.
That's what I hear from people, and I just have never made it for all sorts of reasons. So I'm looking forward to it, and think it'll be a good experience. And we'll see how. It's always a question of like how relevant things will be for CCS. I mean, there's always like networking and education opportunities. So we'll see if this becomes part of our regular rotation or not.
You know, Rebecca, I know you know this, but when I've got staff going to conference, I always tell them there's no expectation that you are only going for your very narrow job role. It's also an opportunity for you to, I don't know, just learn about things that sound interesting to you, just as a, personal growth and professional growth. I think it's healthy for everybody. So go to some of the weird stuff that sounds fun.
I look forward to it. Luckily, the things that are fun are also things that are relevant. Like, what kind of weird data stuff is there going to be? I don't know, but I'm going to go to it. So I'm looking forward to it. I haven't had a lot of time to review the schedule yet, but
get the app. It's very helpful.
Oh. Cool. Any other questions on anything for me?
All right. I think we're ready to adjourn at 10:43. I don't see any objections, so we'll adjourn it. I don't need a motion for adjournment. I finally figured this out, right? Eventually.
Gavel us away, Ryan.
Down pat by the time it's like the end of June. So
thanks
all right.
everyone.
Thanks everybody. Good to see
you.
everybody.